Hello, hello, friends. Welcome in. Getting started here just about 4 minutes after halftime, 4 minutes in the second half. We're going to take you through the end of this game, chat, break it down, take your questions, take your thoughts, and just react to the slog of a game. Romeo Langford making his first start of the season. Tristan Thompson back for the first time since March 14th. So we'll hit on all of it. Welcome in. I see 15 of you in here watching on Twitter. If you want to just leave it on the background, it's on YouTube as well. Bobby Manning, not the pastor, but the reporter. I'm number 2 when you search Bobby Manning. So I see a bunch of you jumping in on Twitter. Check us out over there. It'll be easier to listen to in the background than it is on Twitter. So like I said, I'll share that link. I'll fire it out on Twitter right now so you guys can jump over there if that's a more preferable way to follow. This is Jaylen Brown, hits a 3. Brad just waited a hefty amount of time as the Knicks were on a big run, and they just finally ended it at halftime. Got to 55-50. Another bucket in transition made 57-50, and Brown just made it close again. So 7.5 to go. Appreciate you, Jesse. Thanks for jumping in here. Thanks to everybody for hopping on this stream. And we'll pull up our scoreboard here. Like I said, I'm going to tweet out a link to the Twitter stream or to the face. I'm naming every wrong platform right now. I'm going to tweet out the link to the YouTube stream so you guys can listen to that. That's how you want to do this. All right. So nice run for the Celtics now. They've made it 58-57. Now Knicks are going to call a timeout. Jason Tatum's had an aggressive, good game. There's been a real onus on getting to the rim by everybody. Everybody on the team's crashing boards, particularly Rob Williams, Tristan Thompson, and Romeo Langford, who has had an outstanding offensive rebounding game. C's got off to a 12-1 start on the offensive boards compared to New York. New York's a top 10 rebounding team. Now, I think rebounding's a little overrated, but in a game like this where the possessions are so low, the score is so tight, and it's largely been a possession battle, that is going to swing this game in one direction or the other. All right, I see some of you joining the YouTube stream. Thanks so much. Please subscribe over there. I just did a breakdown of the Robert Williams game against Joel Embiid and try to highlight the fact that it really wasn't Embiid who took it to him in the foul department. It was switching, it was positioning, it was getting out in three-point shooters. Rob just took himself out of the game in a variety of ways that went beyond Embiid's aggressiveness. Now, Embiid caught him with, I think, 3 of those fouls. So you're going to want to avoid that for sure. And like Brad said, with what his role is on the team now, he can't foul out. He can't be taking himself out of games. Luke Cornett did a decent job, but the rotations were completely out of flux after that. So, all right, I'm going to fire up the scoreboard here. Like I said, I'll be with you guys through the end of the game. Feel free to chat away. I'll throw up some of your guys' questions, takes, anything you got. We're also looking at some games around the NBA. I really want to catch some of that Pelicans-Nets game in the second half when that gets going. Kyrie Irving has been on absolute fire for that team. Everybody on that team seems to fit together so well. They've put a real nice core together and the supporting cast, which is what you're going to need. Now, we see Philly is a pretty complete team as well, the way they dismantled Boston yesterday, but their offense isn't quite on Brooklyn's level. And their defense is really good, but I don't think it makes up for it right now. So I certainly give Embiid, the way he's playing, a chance to compete with that team, specifically because Brooklyn's weakness is the interior. I will say, though, if KD's back, being himself, it's going to be impossible to overcome the amount of offensive talent that they have there. Because all those guys can get into different roles. They're all willing to let Kyrie Irving get on the ball and have his flash of offense when it's needed. And James Harden has definitively been named the point guard there. And Durant can play any role. Roll man, wing shooter. He can jump on the ball and make things happen. Specifically in crunch time, I think that's the way they're going to want to go. And it looks like Durant has checked in for 8 minutes at this point, hit both shots, gotten to the free throw line 5 times and hit all of those. So he hasn't even missed a beat. Just like when he came off the Achilles tear originally. He just stormed out and averaged 30 points a game right away in that first month. There's Tatum, nice right hand floating hook. Now Randall going to try to get up in Grant's airspace, and he does it successfully. Grant a little too close on the contest there. $60-57 is the score. We got about 18 minutes left in this game. Ahmet, I see you. Tristan, outstanding game. $60-59 is the score after a couple free throws there by Julius Randle. This game's been a grind, but it's different. I kind of like it in a way. Hasn't been a lot of free movement. There's been a ton of contact inside, onus on rebounding. It's kind of a breath of fresh air as Randle strips Tatum on an aggressive double. That is definitely a Tom Thibodeau seal in the corner there. As they're going to go short jumper for Noel. That's no good. Missed a 13-foot baseline jumper there, so Thompson secures it. Smart. Gets it to Brown on the post up. He's off balance hook, and it looks like an and one. Fantastic aggressive game from Jaylen Brown. He's been getting to his shot early, breaking out in transition quite often, and driving this offense. It's nice to see a team that struggles with offense like this. Hey, Winston, I got you. Fire away if you're in the Periscope, but we can see the comments in here. Jesse Watt thinks Kyrie should be an MVP consideration. Sure. Consideration. He's not going to win, but consideration, we will give him that. He's had a good year. Missed a lot of games early on. Durant, that's going to kill him too. I thought Durant would win MVP this year. He missed too many games. All right. Grant minutes have been baffling. That's what you get when Fournier's out, when Kemba's out. Smart sign a point guard. That wing depth reduces just a little bit, and all of a sudden you need another 4 in there. Brad likes that combo too, Rob and Grant. What's my personal goals in the industry? I've always wanted to be like a lead writer for a national publication, like a magazine specifically. I've always loved more like expanded, reported, feature style stories, and I haven't done a ton of them this season. I've been focusing more on video, audio, that kind of stuff with the Celtics, just because of the access we have. I was talking to some agents early in the year around the draft time and doing a little reporting around the draft, which is a good time to do it. I did a little thing on RJ Hampton that didn't end up getting published, and then I wrote an Isaac Okoro story that got out there. So that's the kind of stuff I want to do. I'm trying to do it a little more with Boston Sports Journal. I've obviously been writing previews over there and the occasional game coverage this season. But I'm pressing those feature stories, and I'm actually looking at some stuff right now with Aaron Neesmith. Who I haven't got a firm grasp on, and Rob Williams is a guy I'd really like to profile. That's what I'm looking at right now, and hopefully that'll be able to come out soon. That's my goal. I want to write long form, big stories, get to books eventually. Writing's my passion, and I'm glad I've been able to do some of this video stuff and the post game and all that. But if there's any way I can get to a big publication, write sports stories that connect to life and society, and uh, you know, I think like Jaylen Brown's storyline has been awesome. I'm looking at some of the stuff that he has tried to accomplish this year in his own life, and I just love when I'm able to bring out the human side in some of these guys, and it's harder than ever. I think guys are more guarded than they've ever been. Uh, Access is tougher. I mean, PR has just gone out of control when it comes to how restrictive they are on not only access to these guys, but what they say, what they don't, all that kind of stuff. It's just become like a maximum security facility when you go in and cover these games, especially post COVID. And I know it's all been worthy stuff, keeping people out of locker rooms and keeping them distance from the floor and all that different kind of stuff. Uh, oh, all right. Chris G says MSG gave a shout out to the Boston Reporter. Criticism Smart commented on the other day. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, I'm gonna be looking at like sports business publications over the summer, maybe different markets, just to kind of get my foot in a market where it's more of my beat per se. Like there are so many people covering the Celtics right now that it really is hard to stick out. And I'm thrilled that there's like 17 people on here listening to me talk about the team, and like thousands and thousands of you watch our post game show. That's unbelievable. And especially like I'm 1 year out of college trying to make it in this game, and you guys have already been so supportive of me. So I appreciate that fully. But that next step is what I'm trying to think of. Like, what's going to make me stand out? What's going to take me to that next level? What's going to make me someone who people have to read? I think of Zach Lowe, and I think of some of the feature people. And of course, you get your newsbreakers like Woj and Shams. They live a lifestyle, and they've directed their careers in ways that have allowed them to do that, in ways that I'm probably not willing to go. And it's not really what I want to be. Like, I don't ever see myself being Woj. I've never broken news, and again, I'm still early in my career, but I haven't broken much news besides like right space, right place, right time kind of things. So I think that's still probably where I need to improve the most. But that's not one of my huge goals long term. But you're gonna be able to do a little bit of everything now. So after the season, I'm going to be looking at, where am I good at? What am I not good at? What kind of things do I need to improve on and emphasize going forward? And we'll take it from there. But this season's already almost over, so I'm just going to try to finish this out the best way I can with things I've been doing all season. And that's Celtics blog, that's some BSJ stuff, and some CLNS columns, and then of course all these shows. Another aspiration of mine that I really want to get ramped up as well as like narrative podcasting. That's something I've been looking at as well. I think there's some really good narrative podcasts out there in the sports world, and I'd like to be able to add to that um, array of storytelling in the podcast standpoint that's out there. Like, we can always turn on the switch and talk about the game all night long, and I think that we've done a great job with that on the post game show. But on my platform, I want to find a way to have stories be told, and um, do bigger picture assessments of sports. Like that, it doesn't even have to be like politics and social stuff and all that kind of stuff. Like even trends within the game. Um, like what needs to be changed about the game? How are people receiving the game, and why are numbers down and that kind of stuff? And what's going to best serve the game long term? Who are the key players around the sport that are making it grow? It doesn't even have to be players. Like the Celtics have a whole support staff that's been mostly on the sideline this year, but when you go to these practices, there's dozens and dozens of people some of them playing with the players, getting involved in scrimmage action, some of them more science people. Celtics have a pretty significant science staff in there, as well as, health and injury related stuff that they've tried to improve on. Yeah, and there's just a lot of interesting stuff happening around the sport. And this year's been tough because the access just isn't there. You can't make the connections that you normally would being in the room. And this probably would have been the first full year I would have been around the team on a day-to-day basis and trying to form those connections. So, oh yeah, it's a blast, man. I have so much fun every time we hit that live button, and that's why we're gonna do it daily. We're gonna start talking daily, and there is a ton of stuff to talk about. And luckily, we have guys like you who tune in whenever we hit that switch. So, man, this game is still in the 60s. 2.5 minutes to go. Julius Randle just popped the corner three, and it is 69-68. Celtics running Smart, Rob, Pritchard, Grant, Brown, and Randle has a steal. He's crossing Pritchard. He's on the move, and he finishes right side. 3-point lead for the Knicks, who have largely controlled this third quarter. It's been close, but they've been in control throughout. Appreciate you, Chris. Appreciate you being here. It's gear. Where does a high school student get started? So I'll tell you what I did. I did three different things. I, of course, reached out to like the institutional journalism people in my community, in my school. So that meant the guy who was heading the school paper, who I had a great relationship with as well through class, Mr. Sullivan. So we obviously had good conversations about how to get into the field, what you got to do to be good at journalism, and step two would obviously be consuming a ton of content and also talking to the people who create it. If you're just getting started, you are more likely than anyone to be received by people who do this for a living. All you got to do is reach out and say, I'm just getting started at this. What do I got to do? What have you done? What tips do you have? I wrote this thing. Can you look at it? Uh, where should I go to school? All those different things. So you can find some mentors pretty early on. I was 18 when I met Nick Gelso and uh, started podcasting. That's something I didn't think I'd be interested in, but we talked about some ideas. I started doing the post game show back then, and we took it from there. Started a podcast, so he became a mentor. Adam Kaufman, who's on our network now, was one of the first people I talked to, and so I was just reaching out to people all the time, just firing emails off like crazy. That was step one for me. And then I got a chance to write for a blog. It wasn't good stuff. I started my own blog, just ranting and raving. You read a little more, you write a little more every day, and then you just get better and better and day in and day out through talking to people, having conversations, doing it, doing the reporting. That was really what took me to the next level. I decided to start covering the football team at my school because it was a pretty big story at my high school, the way they were improving, the best player, uh, just the storylines around the team, and there was great interest around the team at the time. So people were reading, which is even more of a bonus. And you start to meet the people who you're covering on a week in, week out basis, as it was with football, and that gives you a little more confidence. Like you're going to go into these interviews with these guys, and you're the only one there. It might be one or two other people, so you can talk to whoever it is in that room for 10, 15 minutes, and they're going to be into it because they're thrilled that someone's there talking to them. You'll be happy because they're going to give you great answers and a ton of time. And it's just a confidence building process. All three of those things were so crucial to me because it just was my own stuff. And so I was able to take a ton of pride in it, do it consistently, not have a ton of competition, get some eyeballs on it, get some feedback. And then ultimately I got into college and, went to school for it and, um, worked at the newspaper there a little bit and just did a little bit of everything, which I think is what you have to do nowadays. It's going to be a lot of bouncing around, trying and failing, going to certain places and leaving. And starting at new places. I mean, I've been at CLNS 5 years now, so that's been the one constant throughout all this, but I've bounced around a little bit too when it comes to opportunities. So we're coming up at the end of the third here, 73-68 as Tatum gets inside again. That's been a constant throughout this one, is his ability to get to the rim. About 33 seconds left to go here. Knicks going to roll it up. Rob, strong rebound. So he's got some time here. I'll answer this question from Jesse in just a second. I just realized I haven't even put up the scoreboard, but you guys are watching. 73-70, 6 seconds left. Tatum's dancing around. He's drawing a double. He might have to kick it out, and he does to Rob. 15-footers, no good, but it was the right idea. And we're going to the fourth, 73-70. Now, what season, what sports team was my favorite of all time? So that takes me to the next step of the story I was starting to tell right there. Was in 2013-14 with the Celtics, I started going to a million different games because the tickets were like $13. And we could sit wherever we wanted. We obviously became accustomed to the shuffling of players in and out on that team. But Yosa knew that that team wasn't any good. They weren't going anywhere, and you probably didn't want them to win because it was a tank job that year. They needed to get as low in the lottery as they could, try to get a guy like Joel Embiid. But Jabari Parker and Andrew Wiggins were the guys at that time. So it's a pretty interesting balance where it seems like everybody in the NBA wanted to go for those two guys. And ultimately, they didn't end up being the best two guys in the draft. So Celtics, I think, finished sixth in the lottery, got Marcus Smart. I went to a ton of games that year, started writing about the team shortly after for a site called Celtics Life because I just started honing in on the Celtics, tweeting about them a bunch, building a little bit of a following, having conversations with people. Twitter was so different at that time. It was more conversation oriented than like firing out into the oblivion and hoping to go viral. Like replying and quote tweeting and all that stuff and massive conversations, fights, debates, DMs. That was everything back then. So that next year is going to be my answer, 2014-15, because that year we saw it progress from no, it was not 13-14, Jesse. I was just introducing it. 14-15 was the year because I had watched pretty much every game in 13-14. And once it got to 14-15, that first part of the year was a continuation of that. And it was like, oh, here we go again. Like, it's just going to be everybody moving in, moving out. Rajon Rondo got traded. Jeff Green got traded shortly after that. And it looked like the team was just going to be torn to pieces. And then at the deadline, they got Isaiah. But what really keyed that midseason run there was that Atlanta game. I think they went on a little win streak before the All-Star break. Atlanta was number one in the East, and Evan Turner hit a little floater at the buzzer that ripped off a massive upset there. And that team had enough momentum, enough confidence built in, and maybe making a playoff run right there, at the very least just securing another talent to take the team up another level. Again, it's hard to figure out what the motivation was in that Isaiah Thomas trade because the Celtics easily could have let him go to Philly and the big deal that had been built out there. Philly certainly could have used him. And the Celtics would have been worse, would have probably sunk into the lottery at some point if they didn't end up acquiring Isaiah, but they did it. And they added Jonas Jerebko, and those guys became central figures on this mad dash to the playoffs. And I think the next year I had started writing for Celtics blog, but at that time I was still writing for Celtics Life, watching all these games, covering it. It felt like every single night there were three things happening. The Celtics were hustling like crazy. I started deeming it the Celtics hustle because they were just running like madmen. I remember when Jay Crowder first arrived, I went to one of his first games against New Orleans, and he was just sprinting everywhere on defense. Him and Isaiah were running like a like 1-3 pick and roll. They were so small, but they were so active defensively and just hustling every second of every game. So they'd go down 18 in certain games and they'd storm back and pull off these comeback victories. And it was just like, this team is incredible. And you had a group in Boston that hyped that team up to oblivion. and even like the ensuing two teams with Isaiah, and said like this team can make a real run. Other people were like, all right, this team, they just all hustle. They're all energy, try hard team, I think is what Matt Moore called them. And, once the playoffs come and everyone's trying hard, they're going to get knocked out. And they did end up getting swept by the Cavs that first year. Second year was tough, 16. Like, I think Jay Olynyk, Bradley was out for the entire series, and one other player got hurt in that series as well. So that was kind of an injury series to me in 2016 against Atlanta. And then 17, they stunned the Wizards in that 7-game series. I think tons and tons of people thought the Wizards were the best matchup for Cleveland. Maybe they were right. But they certainly thought that the Wizards were going to beat the Celtics, and that was a real accomplishment, winning that series. And people have been saying this around the NBA lately, and they're right. That championship or nothing mindset, it just isn't good for the sport. And we do it here in Boston to some degree, and I understand it because it's a city of champions, and the Celtics have been held to a championship standard over the years. It's probably healthy to not rest on East Conference Finals runs and stuff like that. But if you look at 17 and the expectations and see that team make the East Finals and then take it 5 games after Isaiah went out, that felt like a real accomplishment to me and something to be proud of. And again, you're not going to hang a banner, but it's not championship or failure in the sport to me. Particularly last year too. Like, people thought the world was ending when this team didn't make the finals after a phenomenal run to the East Finals. Shorthanded with Hayward down, Tatum and Brown reached new heights. It was a real growth experience for them after Kyrie left. And to make the East Finals after losing all the guys that they did is Romeo Langford gets a catch and shoot three. And this team, they lost another huge piece this offseason in Hayward, and they're going to have a real learning experience as well. Guys like Langford. Who knows if Neesmith ends up getting involved again this year. Pritchard certainly is going to be his first playoff run as the Knicks fire back with a 3. So, like, a little bit of patience here. I'm frustrated as anybody with this team. I think there are some issues, and the roster has certainly reached the point through losses and missed draft picks and things that deserve some frustration, second guessing, and criticism. But I do think they have awesome pieces. As Rob Williams dove for a loose ball, went a little extendo arm there. 78-73, Knicks still ahead, but Rob saved possession. About 8:30 to go here. Even though the Celtics haven't won a championship under Brad, I just think there's quite a bit to be proud of. Growth that they've shown, a nice system put in place, a new core that's going to last for a long time. And hopefully they're able to put a push together here that inspires them going into next year. That if they can make a few moves, retain their core, then they can build on this. Yeah, that's my biggest problem too, Jesse. That 18 draft picks in 6 years was a bit absurd. It was the most in the NBA by far. They had a chance to package those together for some bench players, depth, and ultimately the depth on this roster has been sucked away by guys leaving and trying to depend on second round picks, deep first round guys. I'm putting enormous pressure on the top end of the roster. Even last year, they were a really good team last year, but it was Hayward, it was Kemba, Tatum, and Brown doing everything every single night. They didn't have much bench impact last year either. Whew, you guys have been keeping me talking here. I gotta walk back into this game. It's a close one going into the fourth. So what do we got right now? Randall is 8 for 19. He's been trying to push up the pace a little bit for New York, it seems like, when they can get possession on the defensive end of the floor. But it's Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose, that bench unit right now that's thriving. Tristan Thompson looks like he's pretty much done for this game after a strong first half. He was, of course, expected to be limited. Jaylen Brown, aggressive, drilling threes, creating for Rob Williams, as you see right there. They just showed a replay of his alley-oop to Rob. Smart struggling from the field. And this has been a grind. Tatum struggling a little bit. But the C's need this one. They've played good enough defense to be in this. That huge rebounding advantage. And Jalen's been the best player on the floor tonight, and they're down 5. Strange game. New York outshot Boston from 3 and the field in the first half, and Jalen's shot goes sideways. Rose pulling up on Smart. Carter on the screen. Rose on the Thompson. Thompson back in the game now, getting his second half run. And it looks like Rose got fouled from behind by Marcus Smart. And the Celtics did already use their challenge on that charge call against Jaylen Brown when he was running on transition in the first quarter. All right, free throws good for Derrick Rose. This is a 7-point lead for the Knicks. I believe that's the biggest they've had in this game. Smart gets ahead of his assignment and quickly. Tatum getting to the baseline. Nearly turns it over, trying to dish it to Romeo Langford off balance, but end up going out off the Knicks. Smart getting downhill, foul from behind, and he's going to go to the free throw line. So he gets back quickly there. That's that stop. Guys behind you, rear ends you. And that's what happened there with quickly. So big free throws for Smart. They're going to have to get points wherever they can down the stretch here. Only 8 minutes to go, and the way this game's moving pace-wise, there will not be a ton of scoring opportunities. Smart hits the first. This might end up being what they do, Daniel, I think. I don't love the idea of giving up Kemba, but it is a path to get back to a more stable cap situation, roster, all that different kind of stuff. How do I prep? I take notes like crazy, baby. What's up, FDE4L? Welcome. I haven't seen you in here. Appreciate it. And quickly goes to the basket, blocked by Tristan Thompson. I believe that's his third block tonight. Loud comeback game from Tristan Thompson as Brown gets into the lane and hits a floater and one. This is the best we've seen from Jaylen Brown since early this season. Aggressive, getting to the rim, both him and Tatum going at this Knicks interior. Scorches by Barrett. Barrett grabbing from behind. I believe he will be the one charged with the foul there as the Celtics get back within 3. 27 for Jaylen Brown. Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate you. I understand want to watch live. Brown free throw, no good. And Randall has it. That's the free throw missing that I said will be so important if it ends up happening. There are not going to be a lot of possessions here for the Celtics, and they have not shot a good percentage in this game. Knicks, meanwhile, up to 38%, or 41%, 48% from three. Tatum bounces around the Grant screen. Back to Grant. Smart. Goes around Grant again. Get Tatum a wide open look from three. Falls. 82-80. Tatum and Brown flashing some early season form with 48 combined points. On a night where Kemba sits, those haven't been wins for the Celtics often, but they're in position to grab this one against a stingy New York team. Red Sox swept their second series. Did not see that coming after a pretty lame start to their season against Baltimore. Lame effort, lame hitting. Lame pitching as well. They got hit around. I don't think so. There was a time, Itzgear, where this seemed to be on the table, but Pelicans rightfully stayed protective of Ball. There's a chance they can end up keeping him at a price that they're happy with. Especially now, if they kept him at the deadline, they got to keep him. You could do a sign and trade, but I don't think there'll be a ton of options for those, given the cap situation across the league. That cap tax apron is going to be tight for a lot of teams. Now, the New York Knicks could be one of those teams that they look at. I think New York might benefit from having an offensive point guard that gets the ball moving a little bit. And all right, what do we got coming up? Timberwolves on Friday. That's going to be fun. Hopefully, I'll go to that game. Love to see Karl Anthony Towns. Big fan of his game, and I hope he can put it all together. But Minnesota is in the dirt. Boxing KG out the way they did was not a good look. And then it's off to the West Coast. The 7-game homestand that I thought would be so successful for the Celtics has kept them right down around the 8th seed. And if they lose this one tonight, don't know what I'll say. Karl Anthony Towns lately, as I mentioned him, last 8 games, 32 and 12, 23 and 13, 39 and 14, 30 and 16, 18, 17, 31, 12, 27, 15, 29 and 16, with about 5, 6 assists a game in there. Incredible player. Incredible talent. When I first saw him in this league, I went to Celtics Wolves, I think his second year, is Barrett gets a kick out of 3. That's an important make for the Knicks. Now Brown from the other corner around the screen shoots it long. Celtics needed that one. 6 minutes to go. Rose. Smart's on him. Smart's had an outstanding defensive game. Randall over Tatum. Dangerous shot, but it falls into the hands of Tristan Thompson off the rebound. Smart into the lane. Fouled. And he will be going to the free throw line. Aggressive effort from the Celtics offense. Looking at the free throws, 12 to 14. Celtics right there and will be tied with the Knicks after Smart shoots these. Thoughts on Barrett? I obviously covered him. The heaviest season that I was covering college basketball was 18-19. And he impressed me immensely. Came in, showed command, poise on the ball, but a bit of a plodding approach. Doesn't have the quick feet, doesn't have the burst really to get to the basket in this league at a high rate, but a physicality, a strong frame. That's going to bode well for him getting to the line. He's going to have to shoot, though. I think with all those things considered, he's going to have to shoot, and he's 35, 36 guy. Looking like a Marcus Smart right now, to be honest. That's what I see in him. And, not even the defensive upside there, but as a team, they have a nice system. He fits well in it. They're not blown away with it. I'm sure Zion would have been massively preferable, which goes without saying. But he's a good pro. As the Celtics squander a fast break, had just scored a basket to get 85-84. Get a good stop inside. Tristan Thompson goes high and elevates, blocking Derrick Rose's shot. That should be 4 blocks for Tristan Thompson, who has been outstanding in this game. Looks like it's going to be a nice center tandem between Rob and him going forward. If Thompson's energized, looks like he's lost a little weight. Been conditioning and slowly working his way back from COVID. As Randall, long two, misses. Celtics going to try again out on the break. Tatum goes to the rim, bounce past Brown. Smart gets his man in the air. It was Burks. 3, good! Celtics are ahead by 2. They've trailed by 7 in the second half, and they are up by 2 with 4:32 to go. Jaylen Brown, run out 2. And then Marcus Smart after a turnover. Tatum stumbling along the baseline, goes to the corner to Brown. He swings it out to Smart. A nice up fake by Smart, who's been aggressive, active, and dominant defensively. Gets the Celtics ahead in what's going to be an epic finish to this game, 87-85. We're seeing the ball movement. We're seeing the pace. We're seeing the things the Celtics need to do to get quality shots against this defense. And it starts with the aggression of Brown, Tatum, Smart, the big 3 tonight with Kemba out. And this is the best showing we've seen from the offense all year when Kemba has sat out. That has been a near automatic loss. And of course, Kemba's return has not always spelled positive things when he's on the court. Celtics lost by 30 to this Knicks team earlier in the year, with Kemba present and struggling in his season debut. But tonight, some hope that Rob is active enough to get the offense going. Thompson gives them enough on the offensive glass to be a spark that way on that end of the court. And the Celtics have played good enough defense to completely keep the Knicks out of this game for large stretches. Worst defense in the NBA, or worst offense in the NBA, the Knicks are coming in. So can they hold them to a drought here? Now Rose gets a switch on Thompson. Bounce to the left. Cross to the right. Rims out. And Thompson drops the rebound out of bounds. We've seen that from him a few times this year. The hands have been an issue for Tristan Thompson, and that's a costly one. We talk about possessions. Another miss from Randall. Randall's had one of the worst games I've seen from him this year. Celtics head by 2, 4 points, or 4 minutes to go. This time Tatum lines up Randall. Gets by him. He's likes going by those heavier fours. And he finishes at the rim. 89-85 is the score. Appreciate you guys sticking with me. See a bunch of you still on YouTube. We'll be on the post game in just 3.5 minutes. But first, an epic finish, and I'll ask you guys to subscribe after this one. RJ Barrett pull up 2 over Thompson, and they are looking for him right now. Who will it be to close this game, Thompson or Rob? Tatum lines up Randall again. He likes this matchup. Brown, long 3, rims out. Thompson, offensive rebound. He gets it out to Tatum. This has been how the Celtics have made their money here against the New York Knicks. Offensive rebounding. It's been their identity for large stretches of this year as Marcus Smart slips in with a putback. Third chance opportunity makes it a 4-point game with 3 minutes to go. Celtics, effort, intensity. We've seen it from them tonight. 20-second chance points. The difference in this game, Knicks only have 7. This time Barrett getting downhill. Thompson gets his hands on a ball, and they're going to call a foul on Thompson. Odd call there. Celtics turning defense into offense, offensive rebound into additional offense, but a costly foul by Thompson there shows the downside to chasing that glass. When they're in the bonus, it goes back the other way. And it does look like a bad call. A bit of a flop by Noel as Thompson swipes at the ball. So Noel hits the first. Second shot. No good. Grant gets the rebound. It's Grant. It's Thompson. It's Smart, Tatum, and Brown. 2.5 minutes to go. Brown gets downhill, past Barrett into the lane. Looks like a foul. And Jaylen Brown is heading to the free throw line, but his shooting split for this game, 2 of 5. Nope, they called it on the floor, so no free throws. Tatum inbounding. Goes to Thompson. Taj Gibson's on him. Smart throws it away. He was looking for Tatum underneath. High pass from above the arc to Tatum in the low post, and it flew right by him. Tristan Thompson is back, Andrew, and he is looking pretty good. Tristan, 21 minutes, 7 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks. Bullock off. Could have been a game-tying 3 from him there. Feet might have been on the line, but either way, he missed. And Tatum's going to take it into the zone slowly. Just under 2 minutes to play. 13 on the shot clock as he lines up Randall. Bunch of traffic in the lane. He's crossing over. He's going left hand. He's caught out on the wing. Nearly a turnover, but that shot clock's tipping away anyway. And now Randall does come up with it from Bullock. Dunk in transition, 91-90 as the Knicks get another breakout score. That's really the only way they've been able to score in the second half. Celtics rotate. Smart 3 from the near right corner, misses. Randall dribbling into the zone. It's a 1-point game. 1:17 to go. Knicks can take the lead on this possession. Barrett going at Brown now. Left side. They're clearing out for him, and he loses the ball. Throws it back in to avoid going out of bounds. Grant recovers it. Throws it to Brown in transition. Brown finishes. There's contact, but it's no foul. They're calling a foul. 1 minute to go. Can't tell if it's a foul or not. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it was just the Knicks timeout. But Jaylen Brown has his best game since. Best game since. What do we think? Help me out, chat. 31, 10, 3, 2 steals. Last time he scored 30 points was against Orlando. End of March. That one certainly qualifies. Last time before that, 33 against Utah. Let's go with that one. 33-8. But still, the defensive impact in this one. Maybe his best since 42 against Philly, where he had 9 rebounds in a block. Yeah, maybe best game since January for Jaylen Brown, now that I look at it. $93-90 is the score. Plenty of time to go. 101. Ticks down to 1 minute as Randall goes against Grant in the post. Celtics are going to finish this one small as Barrett pulls up and hits a 3. Smart pull-up 3. Good! 35 seconds to go as he gives the Celtics a 3-point lead. What a big shot by Marcus Smart, who's been so great. Barrett lining up Tatum. Goes to Burks, it looks like. Long 2, rebounded by Romeo, who's had a nice game on the boards. Celtics have decided to finish with Romeo at the 4, Grant at the 5, go ultra small, and it looks like the Celtics, if they can hit some free throws here, as Brown got fouled in transition, will have this game sealed. But free throws a big if. Been up and down for the Celtics in that department here today as the fans are going wild. $97-93. Jaylen hit the first. Second one, no good. Knicks down 4. They're going to need a quick score. Burks into the lane. Blocked by Brown. And the Celtics, who have struggled to win close games all year, haven't gotten gritty defensively and played as low as they could offensively at times in this one against the Knicks, trying to race to the bottom and send offense back about 30 years. This one will not reach 100 on either side, but the Celtics will have the higher score when it's said and done. Once 10 seconds clip off this clock. Refs are looking at something. Celtics were able to speed this one up a little bit. Final possession count, we look at shots both ways. 86 for the Celtics, 82 for the Knicks. Celtics were able to build a possession advantage in this one. So the best thing I got out of our broadcast tonight from Chris, telling us that Walt Frazier, you said, mentioned our post-game spat per se with Marcus Smart. I'm gonna have to go find that later. But an incredible game from the Celtics. They stood strong in the interior on both ends, grabbed offensive rebounds through Thompson rotations. Rob got a good start going to this game, and Romeo played a ton of active minutes, even though his offense was all over the place in this one. Brown, Tatum aggressively looked for their shot, got into the lane, and moved the ball out to the perimeter where Smart and others were able to finish. And Smart, I thought, had one of his better defensive games of the season. It was no Friday, but it was building off this slow defensive improvement. And Nick, sorry, you're going to get more John Zannis here. Jesse, if I could take one player off the Knicks bench, it'd be Derrick Rose. Celtics missing a Derrick Rose type player as the Knicks hit a three and make this a little interesting now. 99-96. 6 seconds to go. Quick pull up off the free throws. Make this a one possession game. So Celtics will have to get the ball in, go to the free throw line, and seal this game. We'll be going live on post game in just 6 seconds. But first, Celtics got to seal this at the free throw line. Sean Grandy just mentioned the last time the Celtics were in this position, blew it with the inbounds pass against Oklahoma City. Probably not the last time they were in this position, but the last time it went poorly in this position. Free throws are good. That's game. Celtics will be winners, and we are on the Celtics post-game show. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for the note, Chris. I'll take that with us to post-game. And anyone who was on here, please subscribe to the channel. I see 15 of you watching on the broadcast here. Please subscribe. It would help me out immensely. And thank you. Check out our video on Rob from earlier. That's across all our channels. I see a couple of you on Twitch as well. Bobby Manning. Not the pastor. That's the first one you're going to see. I'm the second Bobby Manning you'll find on YouTube. And hopefully you guys will stick around with us for future games. We do this quite often. But now we're on the Celtics post game.